Hey guys, today we're making homemade sandwich bread, just like from your favorite sandwich shop, hopefully. We'll start by proofing our yeast. Add a quarter cup of warm water to your mixing bowl. It should ideally be around 105 degrees Fahrenheit to wake up the yeast. Now we'll add 1 tablespoon of sugar to give them something to eat. Mix that up so the sugar dissolves, and finally our yeast. This is a tablespoon, which is about 1.5 packets if you're using those. Get the yeast mixed in really well, and now we'll give this about 10 minutes to proof. You can see the foam growing, which is a good sign that our yeast is nice and healthy. Now that our yeast is proofed, let's get this attached to our mixer. Add 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt and about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now add 3/4 cups of warm water, around the same temperature as before if you can, and 1 cup of flour. Attach your dough hook and start the mixer on a slower setting to get things incorporated. All of this can be done by hand as well. I just really like the mixer for making dough. If the flour's being stubborn, you can give it a little bit of encouragement with the spatula. Once that seems to be coming together, add another cup of flour and keep mixing. Now I'll add another 1/2 cup of flour, and we're going to play this by ear with flour until the dough comes together how we want it to. Add a bit more flour if needed in small increments. You don't want to add very much at a time at this point. Also, it's not really making bread unless you get flour all over the place. So I've added probably another 1/4 cup of flour at this point, but this will all be dependent on your altitude, humidity levels, and possibly the position of the sun. I'm no expert. So this is where you want to be creative. We're looking for the dough to gently lift off the bottom of the bowl right around where the circle is. Once you're satisfied, we're ready to let this rise. So grab a bowl and give it a light coating of olive oil so the dough doesn't stick. Rub the dough around in there and then flip it and do the same to ensure an even coating. Give it a little pat of encouragement and cover with a damp towel. I like to use my oven to let the dough rise with just the oven light on for a slight amount of heat. Do not turn the oven on at this stage. And after about 30 minutes, your dough should have about doubled in size, just like this. So prepare a working surface with some flour and get your dough on there for a really quick massage. Now go ahead and cut the dough into 4 equal-ish parts, and we want to roll these into about 8 to 10 inch long sections. We'll slide those aside for a second and grab our baking sheet. You can place these directly on the sheet, but I have a fancy mat that helps the dough keep its shape while rising. This is of course totally optional, but quite handy. So place your rolls on your sheet, and if you want to make these a little fancier, brush with some olive oil and sprinkle a bit of Italian herbs on them. This is optional, but highly recommended if you're using this for sandwiches. Now off for a second rise in the oven. Again, not turned on, we're just using this as a warm, safe space for our dough. And after another 30 minutes, you can see them plumping up nicely. So I'm going to let these finish rising out of the oven while I get it preheated to 350 degrees. Once the oven's up to temp, slide these in and let them bake for around 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, these are ready to come out and rest on a cooling rack for another 20 minutes or so. And we're almost done. And finally, we get to enjoy some fresh baked bread. I'll slice a piece here, and you can see how nice and fluffy it is. I'll even give it a quick poke for you. Make sure to quality control a bit of this. And that's it. I hope you give this a try and let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.